Arthur Lakiotes was once the battalion chief in Red Hook in Brooklyn. I've been stationed there also. On September 11, the truck company left, and both it and its 7 firefighters never returned. The memories of the men lost remain in the firehouse and within Arthur. He, like all of us that were there, has to keep going back to that place. Any picture in a book or newspaper brings us back to that horror. It must be a way our minds are trying to heal us back to the world we were once in. Certain images and sounds are etched in our memories and float in and out both day and night. We put ourselves in some of the situations that the helpless were in that day. As firefighters, we know what it was like in there and what it must have felt like. We keep playing the scenes over and over like a teenager with a new CD. Will it ever go away?
These are the ones that are killing me. These are the ones I'll never forget. Not that, not that, that.
Yeah.
Hearing those bodies hit, watching them fall. One guy let go with a scream. I mean, it was like a scream of defiance rather than fear. You know, all the way to the ground until he hit. I assume it was a guy. I mean, and unfortunately, people know who these people are, what they wore to work that day, and what have you. Can't imagine the terror these poor people had to endure.
Hidden away in Central Park is where all Manhattan 911 calls are answered, engine and truck companies dispatch, and decisions made. For the New York Fire Department, this is where it all started that fateful morning. Assistant Commissioner Steve Gregory is head of Fire Department communications. Many of his staff were challenged beyond belief.
Fire Department 416.
John Lightsey is a hero the public never see. John is our lifeline. He's the man on the end of our radios. He's the one that deals with the public cries for help, the one who calls us out, and the one who's there to help if we need it. He ran the show that day.
We all know that there have been times where, you know, we were the last person to speak to these individuals.
There's quite a few of them that stick in the mind. There are a couple of them we have that I remember that stick in mind when we had some person on a car in a radio at a cab calling for help.
Can anybody hear me? Yes. I'm a civilian. I'm trapped inside one of your fire trucks underneath. The collapse that just happened. Stand by. Let's make a call to you. I can't breathe much longer. Please save me. I'm handicapped in the truck. Hi, person transmitting the Mayday. Where are you, Kate? I just told you. If you look at the World Trade Center, there's the North Pedestrian Bridge. I think it collapsed when that partial building just collapsed. I was on the street. I don't have much air. Please help me.
Getting calls from the towers that, you know, the elevators, I believe it was up on the 89th floor, were about to come down. It's hard to sleep sometimes at night, a lot of times.
And I find that too. I find myself waking up in the middle of the night. I wake up like at 2:39 every morning for some reason. I don't know why that time, but I get up and I just can't fall back to sleep again. And I stay up for a little while, and if I can't fall back to sleep, I watch a little TV and then ultimately, you know, go back to sleep again. But I do find, you know, that sleeping at night's a little tough. It's just something. I don't know if it'll take time. I don't know if it'll ever go away.
It's just, you know, you wonder if you're making the right decision, and should you really be sending these guys out again this many?
Fire Department Dispatcher 4570.
Looking back, I think we learned a few things, but some of the things that I know that I'm going to implement is not putting all of my eggs in one basket, so to speak, and spread my people out a little more. And as for myself, I should be in a position where I get more of an overview of the operation rather than being actually involved in the on-site operation. That happened because, I guess, maybe my involvement in the '93 bombing, my knowledge there might be able to be used at this situation, but of course it didn't turn out that way.
By the end of May, the site at Ground Zero had almost been cleared. I went down there that day. My colleagues were searching on the final pile. It had taken 261 days to get to this point, a remarkable achievement. But sadly, what we had hoped for, the recovery of all those lost, did not come to pass. We thought in the beginning, in those early days, we would find the remains of everyone before the search ended. But the end is now. Not tomorrow, but now. 1.5 million tons of debris have been removed from here. Almost 20,000 body parts have been found and tested for DNA. But of the 2,823 lost in the Twin Towers, only 1,330 have been identified. The forces generated by the collapse pulverized everything almost to dust. As I wandered around the vast area of death, my thoughts drifted back over the many days and weeks that I had spent in this sinister place. I felt I was standing in a graveyard, and the words for the departed were echoing all around me. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. In the southeast corner, as if in defiance, stood the last steel pillar that once proudly supported the mighty South Tower. Covered in graffiti messages of reminders, put there not by vandals, but by members of the New York Police Department and my own fire department, this rusting monolith is to become an icon of this terrible event. On a bright day in midsummer, I set out to Staten Island. It's a place where they brought the tangible metal carnage, a place where it's going to be laid to rest. It's also the place where the final scrutiny of what is left is carried out. The final search, just in case there's something there. But I wasn't prepared for what was coming. This is a battalion chief's car. This is what I'm most used to being in at the moment. I have a very close friend, Steve Belson, who I lost, and they never found him. And he was driving the chief, and actually the chief he was driving, Oriole Palmer, was also a close friend. We worked together for years. So now this hits home for these, for me right now at this rank. God, it's unbelievable, the damage to these things. This is a fire marshal's car. Totally crushed. The north walkway had been leveled somewhat, not totally, but just south of that, there were the apparatus lined up against the curb, and they were crushed, and they were covered with debris, and I went down into a void to make sure it was safe for the men to go down into that void and into another void with a guy from FEMA, and he had a search cam, and at one point, he also had a dog with him too. We had got an odor, and I crawled a little further down, and I found one of the brothers underneath a rear mount, and you know, we verified it with the camera and of course with the dog, and it was just something that was just unbelievable. Now, 8 months later, I look at these things, it brings me right back to day one.
Unit with an urgent, go ahead. So we got 11 people trapped here for continuous collapse. We need a hand to get them out, okay? Are you pinned in a piece of apparatus? I was, that's all. All right, we're going to get some members over there to assist you. You have help on the way. Do you receive that? There is help on the way. Do you receive that?
These are testimony to my friends. It's a testimony to my coworkers. Guys that have worked for me, guys I worked with. You know, I didn't know this was going to be like this, but it's horrible. It's horrible. This is the cab to the apparatus. This is the tip of the area ladder. Comes over the front of the rig. And the officer and the chauffeur and the men sit right behind it. Can you imagine getting out of your apparatus and that happening to you? These things. The young kids come in and make sure these things are folded perfectly in the morning, and when they go to a fire, put everything away. Look at the folds. They're perfect. They should just leave this just the way it is and make this the memorial. I've had enough. Reeling from the shock, we drove away, but there was more to come. All the debris has come here for the police and FBI to check it one more time. Somewhere in that finely sifted heap of debris are the remains of my missing brothers. It's unbelievable.
Now in there, if you can see the belts coming out?
Yeah.
Those are all the detectives in there, and they watch as the debris comes out on the belt. And now they go in there and they spend their day in there and they just watch the belt. And if something comes across, they stop the belt and take it. And it comes through here, then it goes through a finer sifting machine, and it comes out like that at the end. Then that's all picked up and used as fill.
Day and night, we continually go back to the front line. It's a battle we love to fight. My men and I can't get enough of it as we push ourselves, our bodies to the limit. We try to hold the line at bay, hoping it won't fight back and overwhelm us. But for some on that fateful day, the line was crossed, never to return. We are soldiers in a war that never ends.